Hello, my name is Christopher Scott. Thank you for joining me for another Basics of the Bible video. In this video, we're going to be looking at the book of Ecclesiastes. So if you're new to watching these videos, welcome. It is based on a series of videos I'm doing called Basics in the Bible. There are 75 different videos in this series, starting with Genesis, going all the way through Revelation. So there's a link at the very top of the description of this video where you can get that playlist and watch all 75 videos for free. So thanks for joining me. Now let's talk about the book of Ecclesiastes. The one-word description I have given for Ecclesiastes is simplifying. Simplifying. The book of Ecclesiastes is about simplifying the Christian life and what it's all about. And the key verses in the book are chapter 12, verses 13 and 14. Let's read that, the last two verses. The conclusion, when all has been heard, is fear God and keep his commandments, because this applies to every person. For God will bring every act to judgment, everything which is hidden, whether is good or evil. And Ecclesiastes, while some people think it's a sad book written by a sad man that was depressed, Ecclesiastes presents truth about our world and our life. Solomon, who was the author, is an older man, and he knew what did and didn't matter in life. So this book is his attempt to tell us what does matter in life. And it's his attempt to tell younger people what matters in life. So that's the two key verses are Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verses 13 and 14, where he pretty much sums it up. This is what life is all about. Fear God and keep his commandments. God will bring every act to judgment, everything which is hidden, whether it is good or evil. That's from the New American Standard Bible, my Ryrie Study Bible. So let's talk about the author of the book. The author of the book of Ecclesiastes is Solomon. Even though it never specifically says his name, Ecclesiastes 1:1 says that the author of the book was the son of David, king in Jerusalem. And David's son, which was king in Jerusalem, was Solomon. From 970 to 931 BC is when Solomon reigned in Israel. We can also verify that this man is Solomon based on some of the things described in the book. We can verify it with Solomon because of his wisdom. Chapter 1, verse 16 talks about his amazing wisdom. Also his wealth. Chapter 2, verses 7 talks about this enormous wealth that Solomon also had. The opportunities that he had, chapter 2, verse 3, and then the buildings that he built, chapter 2, verses 4 through 6. Those four things all match what we know about Solomon to be true, that are included in the descriptions of this man in Ecclesiastes. The Jewish tradition also says that Solomon was the author, and that's from the Babylonian Talmud is what it says that. So Jewish tradition says that Solomon was the author. The audience that it's written to is obviously the nation of Israel, to give them advice about what life is about and to simplify life for them. The date that it was put together, like I mentioned, Solomon reigned from 970 AD to 931 AD, so it likely was near 931 AD that Solomon put this book together. The title of the book The title of the book in Hebrew means speaker, teacher, or one who convenes and speaks at an assembly. It's the Kohelet. Kohelet. The Hebrew pronunciation is always difficult. I have it written here in Hebrew in my notes. Kohelet is the name in Hebrew, which means speaker, teacher, or one who speaks at an assembly of people. The Greek, we in our English Protestant Bibles, we use the Greek title, which is Ecclesiastes. Okay, Ecclesiastes, which means preacher in Greek. And so the English Bible primarily gets the titles for the books from the Septuagint, the LXX. The Greek translation of the Hebrew, if that makes sense. And I mentioned that in other videos if you watched other videos in my series. An outline that I really like for the book, and it's a complex book. It's difficult to follow at times, so I used Warren Wiersbe's outline that I really like that he has. Chapters 1 and 2, the problem is declared. Chapters 3 through 10, the problem discussed. Chapters 11 and 12, the problem is decided. And that's from Warren Wiersbe's commentary, Be Satisfied, pages 13 and 14. Those are great, simple commentaries. There's about 50 on the entire Bible. So if you ever come across those by Warren Wiersbe, they'll always be satisfied, be victorious, be real. Be Real was the first one he wrote on 1 John. They are amazing little commentaries. You can find them for $10 on Amazon, and they are a gem. So I recommend you get those if you can get them. Find them. So like I said, the book of Ecclesiastes is about simplifying life. And Solomon says we should enjoy life, inside of work and outside of work. We should enjoy our work, but also know work isn't everything. We should enjoy family and food and drink and the other pleasures of life. And he discusses that throughout the book. If you read it closely and you pay attention, if you read chapter 2, verses 1 through 10, and I bring this up because people talk about Ecclesiastes and they quote the verse that says, vanity, vanity, everything is useless, there's nothing new. But if you read Solomon closely, you'll see he does have some positive things he says. He says in chapter 2, verses 10 and 11, all that my eyes desired, I did not refuse them. I did not withhold my heart from any pleasure, for my heart was pleased because of all my labor, and this was my reward for all my labor. Thus I considered all my activities, which my hands had done, and the labor which I had exerted. And behold, all was vanity and striving after wind, and there was no profit under the sun. So he kind of says there's no real meaning to any of it. But then if you read a little later, he continues. He says, there's nothing better, in verse 24, there's nothing better for a man than to eat and drink and tell himself that his labor is good. This also I have seen, that it is from the hand of God. For who can eat and who can have enjoyment without him? So he says, with God, we should still be able to enjoy food and drink and work and labor. If you flip over to chapter 3, verse 12, he says, I know there is nothing better for them than to rejoice and do good in one's lifetime. Chapter 3, verse 22, I have seen that nothing is better than that a man should be happy in his activities, for that is his lot. For who will bring him to see what will occur after them? So nothing is better than to enjoy activities, to enjoy things in life. Chapter 5, verses 18 and 19, he says, here is what I have seen to be good and fitting to eat, to drink and enjoy oneself in all one's labor, in which he toils under the sun, during the few years of his life which God has given him. For this is his reward. Furthermore, as for every man to whom God has given riches and wealth, he has also empowered him to eat from them and to receive his reward and rejoice in his labor. This is the gift of God. Rejoice in your labor. Accept the gifts of God, and there is a purpose to it all. Okay? So that's the book of Ecclesiastes. It's a great book written by Solomon. It's got some interesting things in it. It's difficult to outline, sometimes difficult to follow, but it's in our Bible. We should study it, learn from it, grow from it, and apply it to our lives. Thanks for watching this video on the book of Ecclesiastes. If you're new to these videos and you want to subscribe and get updates to future videos, there's a link on the first comment of the video, a link where you can subscribe to my monthly email newsletter. I promise I only send you one email a month, and in that email I give you links to my published articles from the month before, as well as links to the newest videos I make here on YouTube. And when you subscribe, I'll also give you a Bible study guide that will show you how to study the Bible for yourself and learn and grow from God's Word on your own. So I hope you can subscribe, that I can stay updated with you and stay connected with you and talk to you again in another video. Thanks for watching.